What is good, everyone? It is Ben Deal down here in Houston, Texas. So excited for our guest today on the Expand podcast. I have got my brother, Craig Siegel. He's a high-energy, value-based global keynote speaker out of New York City. He's a thought leader and founder of Cultivating Lasting Symphony, endorsed by some of the world's most well-known celebrities, athletes, entrepreneurs. Craig is on a mission to inspire people to remove their limiting beliefs and replace them with positive, constructive thoughts. He is a mindset motivation expert, and he is going to be joining us here in Houston, Texas on June 20th. Craig, welcome to the show. Grateful for your time, and thanks for joining us.
Wow. Now that's an introduction. So that's what it feels like to be on the receiving end of those unbelievable introductions. Thank you for the beautiful words, brother. I can't wait to see you in person later this month, and I'm excited to chop it up today. Let's get nuts. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, man. No, I'm super excited. And, the event that we're hosting, it's called Expand. And, we just had a divine connection through Coach Burt. One, I want to thank you in advance for your openness and willingness to be in alignment, see the vision, take time out of your busy schedule. I'd love to introduce you to our community. Could you give us a little background of where you've been and where you've got to where you are now? Because we'd love to, kind of let everybody know, who you are and what you've done and where you're going.
Yeah. So prior to the pandemic, I spent 13 years on Wall Street, and I was making money and I was successful at that season of my life. And I say it like that because at that season, what I considered to be successful is making money. Now, just to be clear, making money is absolutely a part of success, but it's a part, not the whole thing. And I found myself a little burnt out, to say the least, in a dark season a few years back, right before the pandemic, before I reinvented myself. I just got out of a toxic relationship. My best friend, my dad, had just gotten diagnosed with cancer. He's still battling. And even though I was making money and I had my own business, I wasn't exactly putting a dent in the universe. And I knew with certainty that I was here for something more than I was currently settling for. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. So I started drinking more than I'd like to admit, but I didn't stay there long. I don't know if I found running or running found me, but I was all over it. I started running a bunch of marathons, which is awesome. Started to find myself, to get quiet, to connect. Started to do some hard things and get confidence. And then fast forward the pandemic, bang. Talk about a global awakening. But more specifically for me, brother, I looked at this as an historic opportunity to reassess. When is the world ever going to sit still like this? And I looked around and I saw a lot of day drinking and that Tiger show on Netflix. And I just said, that's not going to be me. And so I made myself available, got real quiet, which I think is important to get clarity. And I started getting these creative divine downloads. And it's like, of course, I've been obsessed with personal development for 15 years. I have a feeling it's more than a passion. I think this might be my assignment, my purpose. I combined that with my ability to communicate effectively. Literally the next day on a run in Central Park, bang, came to me. Started my CLS brand, Cultivate Lasting Symphony, also playing my initials. And then I came home. And then I had that one moment of imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of us struggle with right before we're going to do something epic. Who's going to want to listen to me? I have no following, no connections, nothing. And then it occurred to me, what about the COI, the cost of inaction? And for me, that was way too high. I would actually rather die than choose to go back and be miserable. And so I invested in a new story. I changed the plot to my movie, and I started building my brand. And the rest, as they say, is history. Over the last 2.5 years, it exploded. Very humbled by that. Just signed a record book deal with Wiley, which comes out August 15th, the Reinvention Formula, speaking all over the world, just in Portugal in front of 80,000. Huge podcast sponsored by Texas' own Mark Cuban, coaching communities, all the things. Sold the business. This is it for me in some capacity for the rest of my life, and we're just getting warmed up. I know that was a long-winded answer, but I wanted your listeners to have a little bit of context for the power of making a decision.
Amen. Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things, kind of the tagline that I've been using for this event. In times of contraction, that is the opportunity to expand. So when you went through this season and you had the awareness of potentially what you were going through, what did that moment look like from a mindset, from a heart perspective, that really you dug in and said, hey, this is an opportunity to change and radically transform, to reinvent yourself, the direction in your life? What was that moment that gave you, the impetus to, make that change, to reinvent yourself?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things that are really powerful here and really important to touch upon. One is I did this eulogy exercise where this is really powerful for anybody to reassess. And I considered if this was it for me in regards to this human experience, meaning this 5'7.5" handsome vessel that's speaking to you. And I said, if this was it for me, did I leave a legacy? Did I make a contribution? Did I make a massive impact? Did I have great relationships? And honestly, I wasn't happy with any of those answers. And so it occurred to me right then and there that I need to create a sense of urgency. And I'm a big believer for anybody in any industry, because people are always like mesmerized, like, how did you do what you've done? I've never seen anything like that in such a short time. Well, my answer is it doesn't take time. It just takes alignment. And for the first time in my life, brother, I got into alignment. Now, what is alignment? Alignment is doing what lights up your soul. And for me, personal development, helping people reinvent themselves and mindset, I love that stuff. Now I turned it into my career. And the irony is I didn't start this stuff for the money, but I'm making more money than I ever made in my life because it's just an energetic exchange when you add value. It's just a byproduct. So first and foremost, you have to assess, like, are you really happy with where you're at? And if the answer is even a little bit not really, then you need to do something about it. You need to transform from reactive to proactive. And then it's like, all right, well, I know I'm not super fulfilled and maybe not in alignment. So how do I get clarity? What do I want to do? That's a whole nother conversation, but something practical and tangible that someone can extract right from this conversation right now is make a list of 5 to 10 things that you absolutely love in this world, whatever they are. And then make another list of 5 to 10 things that you're good at, you're skilled at, might be your superpowers. And somewhere in the middle, there's going to be some commonalities, and that's what you should lean into.
That is so good. And leaning into your strengths and identifying where you are. I think, and this is a challenge. So you're going to be joining us in a room of a bunch of real estate professionals, investors, agents. And, there's always, when you're starting something new, there's a lot of energy and excitement about starting that new thing. But what happens when reality hits and you realize this is work? This is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Like, did you have an experience when you left Wall Street? You're like, hey, I'm going to get in alignment, follow my passion, purpose. What was that moment like? And how did you move forward through that moment?
Yeah, so just to be clear, I never thought it was going to be easy. And it's interesting. I was having a really good conversation yesterday on our podcast with somebody that you probably know. And we were talking about this. I remember this quote back in the day when I was on Wall Street, where somebody once said, when you find what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I used to be so skeptical of that. And I'm so happy I was wrong, because I love this stuff. But there's a modification to that quote. And that is this: when you find what you love, you'll never feel like you're working. And that's the difference. And just to be clear, in the pandemic, when I started this, and everybody was, I don't really know what they were doing. I wasn't really interested. But what I was doing is I got to work. And I remember very specifically some 20-hour days in the beginning. Now, just to be clear, it didn't feel like work because there's literally nothing else in the world that I'd rather be doing. Even right now, specifically having this conversation with you, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. But in the beginning of starting something special, epic, whether you're in real estate, you're an agent, you're a broker, whatever arena, an athlete, you have to embrace those early seasons of grind, because that's where the magic happens, getting to work. And for me personally, I didn't care about making money for the first couple of months. My sole focus was to add value and extend the reach, meet some people, build a community, get people interested, make some content with tangible strategies and so forth. And when I tripled down on that, then all of a sudden it was time to open up the doors for business and so forth. But that's all I wanted to do in the beginning, was get to work and extend my reach. So for anyone out there that's like, oh, wow, this guy Craig's on fire, he sounds great, I want to do something else, but I'm afraid of the work. Don't ever be afraid of the work. Trust me when I tell you, and I know you can relate this, brother, those beginning stages when you're building something special, epic, iconic, that's where the magic happens, when you're in the trenches. And then eventually you get to a place where you can work a little bit smarter with the right consciousness, not necessarily harder. But in the beginning, lean into the work, because that's where the special situations are grown.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think, within the context of real estate or really just entrepreneurship in general, like you're saying, those early seasons of work, I love that you're saying to embrace that and to really dig in, because a lot of people, especially my experience in real estate or otherwise, it takes a lot of work on the front end. We're like front end loading, we're delaying gratification because we're investing time, energy, effort, money into a future result we believe, but we haven't seen. So how has that been over the last 2.5 years, where you look back into that season of grind to like the fruit that you're bearing now? And just to share with everyone, I mean, hit up Craig's podcast, CLS Experience. I mean, he's got guys, Rob Deerdeck, Ed Milet, Eric Thomas, Ryan, he does events with Ryan Serhant. I mean, people from across the entertainment, sports, motivation. Craig has now created community and access with those people. So from that beginning to where you are right now, what was the key for you as you kind of built through the last couple of years of that process?
In one phrase, brother, that I love to say, marry the process, divorce the outcome, right? So you have this big, and I'm very big on setting the intention and having huge, audacious goals. You got to be a visionary, do the whiteboards, all that stuff. But then you divorce from that and you reverse engineer, right? So for example, for me, I looked at what I was doing as the Apple of personal development, a 10-lane highway. Each lane would be something else. The book deals, speaking, coaching, community, the podcast, all that. Great. Divorce from that. Now let's reverse engineer. What can I actually do today to get a first down? And for my non-football fans out there, like, you don't have to get a touchdown or a home run every single day. But I believe, and no one can prove me wrong up to this point, just comes down to effort. Each and every single day, you can move the chains. You could do something just a little bit to push you a little further ahead, a first down. And what happens is that begins to compound, right? So you have this season of growth where you're planting these seeds and you're in that grind and you're doing your thing. And then a couple of months down the line, or maybe even a couple of years, depending on what you're doing, you have this season of harvest where all the crops come to fruition. But that's the end result. The cause is the grinding, is the compounding, is the doing the deals that you don't get paid for 3 months, 9 months, 12 months, or maybe even never. That's not the point. The point is, what can you do today? What seeds can you plant? What connections can you make? How can you add value? And then just keep doing that. You stack those magical moments and they compound. And I'm willing to predict that if you do that and you stay consistent, which is a superpower in itself, over the course of 3 to 6 months, you will look back and, oh my goodness, look at all the momentum we have.
So when you say the magic of consistency, I believe that is the key focus and opportunity for entrepreneurs, people in real estate. It's that daily work, and it's not the real crazy complicated work. It's the simple day-to-day tactical knocking it out. Like, how did you create that consistency of action? And more importantly, what was your motivation and focus to keep you on track to do that daily consistent work?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first, brother. So for anyone that's like having trouble really attacking, gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, how bad do you want it? Right? Like, if you want this bad, and that's anything, real estate, you want to be the top agent, top broker, whatever the real estate, any industry. If you want it bad enough, right, then no adversity or obstacles is really going to derail you, because it's just a minor setback, and everything that happens is usually happening for you to protect, to propel you to something greater. So for me, like, I was very strategic and intentional with every single thing I did, every piece of content, every association. It's not like I had so many obstacles, but I had my share. Nothing goes up in a straight line. But for me, it's just like problem solving. Well, how can we figure this out? What did I learn from this? How can I apply what did not work to this so that I can ensure that that does work? So if you want something bad enough, you shouldn't be scared of the inevitable adversity that comes along, because that, spoiler alert, is a part of the process. So about that, you should probably negotiate the price in advance on what you're willing to sacrifice and pay. Because if you want it bad and it's special and it's going to have a big result, there's going to be some adversity, but you will learn from it. And then in regards to the first part of the question, brother, I just understood that I don't have experience in this arena, but what made me successful in business on Wall Street and running marathons, having never ran before that, was not those things specifically. They were me, I say very humbly. And what makes you successful is you. And those traits, those characteristics are transferable. So even if you don't have so much experience in something that you're looking to do, you're resourceful enough, you're creative enough, you're determined enough. And then obviously, of course, always, if you can, affiliate yourself and associate yourself with people that aren't necessarily better than you, but are a little bit further ahead, like a coach, a mentor, masterminds, going to your event, stuff like that, because it's contagious.
Yeah, that's so great. And just when you talk about being resourceful and solution oriented, how did that mindset kind of get developed? How did you build that up? Because I know a lot of people, they'll encounter a challenge, a roadblock, they'll have to take a course or pass a test, and then they hit that brick wall and then they quit. Like, what was it for you to continue to, move forward through that, to build out that resource solution oriented mindset?
I want this so bad, brother, because I spent a lot of time being miserable, unfulfilled, out of alignment. 35 years to be exact. And so when I realized that I had a choice and I could choose a different story to invest in, one with limitless potential and opportunities as opposed to limitations, and my movie, I could change not only the script, but the cast of characters, everything. It occurred to me that everybody could do that. And I see far too many people living in mediocrity, or even worse, suffering in silence and settling for something where they know they're here for so much more. And I feel as though it's my assignment, my calling now, to show people what's possible once they decide, they think, they play bigger, they believe in themselves and so forth. So I'm obsessed with this. And to be honest with you, I love it. Like, you couldn't pay me $1 billion to be anywhere else right now than having this conversation with you, because I love this stuff. It's all a part of the process, the plan. We're building the brand, and the money's coming. So I'm not motivated by that right now. That's all great because I could do great things with it. But you got to find something that lights up your soul. And whether it's real estate or anything, I'll say this and we'll land the plane with the audience. Like, I used to think that once you had the things, then you would activate the lit soul. Once you had the money, the nice watch, the pretty girl, whatever the case may be. And ironically, what I figured out now, having gone through it, is first you activate your soul by stepping into something that it's really important to you, that you love. And then when you activate that soul, you end up manifesting the things that you thought you needed to activate your soul. So what you're doing, brother, with helping people with this event and the real estate and I know you're a man of faith, all that stuff, I mean, it's contagious. So for anyone that's struggling to like push past adversity and so forth, ask yourself, like, how bad do you want this? And it is going to be tough, but that shouldn't scare you, because then it just comes down to transforming fear into excitement.
That's so good. And one of the things I heard you say, I just made a note: invest in limitless potential. So, in what I heard you say was, your corporate world, you're limited by potential. When you stepped into the entrepreneurial arena, now we're entering into an unlimited, limitless potential arena. And I just think that is so incredibly powerful for any of you in real estate or entrepreneurship or looking to do your own thing. Like, real estate's unlimited, entrepreneurship is unlimited, and man, that thing just rocked me. So I think this event that you're coming down to, spend your time, energy, effort to invest into our room is about expansion. It's about expanding. What does expand mean to you? What does expansion mean to you?
First of all, I love that word, and it's probably one of the reasons you and I hit it off, and it was a divine connection. It's awesome, brother. And I love that word is so important to you, and it's a part of your branding. When I think of expanding and expansion, I feel as though that's what we should all be chasing after for the rest of our lives. And whether that's a consciousness, removing limiting beliefs, changing from one career that has you limited to something that has you abundant and limitless, whatever that is, we should always be looking to grow, to expand. Because if you're not growing, essentially you're dying. So I think the word expansion can mean different things to different people depending upon what season they're in. But if you're asking me to just pinpoint something, when I think of expanding, like broadening what I'm capable of, like raising the ceiling on where I can go, what I can accomplish, the impact that I can make, the contribution that I could make. When I think of expansion, I think of like hyper growing, like to a whole nother stratosphere, being able to expand what's possible for you in any arena. And I want to reiterate that that's what your event is all about, because everybody can lean into growing rapidly spreading their wings, but sometimes they need some reinforcement to know that they can do that and to remove the interference and the negative limitations that hold a lot of people back.
Yeah, and with expansion, so the three kind of pillars are expand your business, your mindset, and your heart. What do you think about the interplay between the mind and the heart when you're looking through this concept of expansion? What is one more important, or the other, one or the other more important, or is it one or the other? What do you think about mind and heart and expanding?
I love them both, brother. And it would be difficult for me to choose like, oh, I think that one's more important, because I think they go hand in hand, if I'm being honest, right? Like if you have a good heart, but your mindset is very, scarce, that's not really going to get you anywhere. But if you have a great mindset, but your heart's like small, like you don't have the heart to stomach setbacks and obstacles, and I don't know how far you'll get with that. So I think that they go hand in hand. I love that those are two components to what you talk about. And I think that everybody, bottom line, should do the work to expand both their mind and their heart. And when you get those in congruency, forget about it. Game on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, as we do wrap up, I mean, give us some insight into the book you're launching, that's launched in process. Tell us a little bit about the reinvention formula.
Yeah, brother. So it's coming out August 15th. It's available for pre-order right now. If you want to be a part of the launch team or you want to spread the message, just go to the reinventionformula.com. We're doing so many bonuses and giveaways. And just by purchasing one book, you get access to our premier virtual event, which is the biggest one we've ever done. Huge guest speakers, all things reinvention, breaking down the principles and tactics. I believe right now, this book is exactly what everything has led up to. It's my assignment. I've been studying personal development 15 years. I used it to be successful in other arenas. I just didn't realize that it would actually be my career. And then I put it all together to start CLS. And most people say they haven't seen success like that in a short amount of time. But how did I do it? Right. And it's not just what I'm doing now, like personal development. It's for anybody in any arena or any season of life that's looking to think and play a little bit bigger, to pivot successfully, to make more money, to get clarity on what you want to do, what you love, to find love, to focus on self-love, all the things. And I've read a lot of personal development books with principles and strategies, and there's usually something great that you could take from all of them. But I didn't want this to be that. This is more of a hybrid. It's a little bit my story, some of the setbacks, the Wall Street, the marathons, movies that I love, all the lessons that I've taken and extracted and applied to what we're doing now. I also talk about how to date your audience, personal branding, sales. It's a little bit of everything. I'm really excited about it. And I just, whoever reads this, no matter what you're doing in life, I'm very excited and confident to say that this book will help you in some capacity to grow, expand, and to get a little bit bigger.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and for all of you out there, this is an opportunity, unique opportunity to be in the room with Craig. So be sure to get your tickets. They're going fast. We've only got limited access in this room. And Craig, thank you for you coming down, your team, to invest into this room. This is one of those once in a lifetime type experiences, because Craig, just based on our conversation, what I've seen, what we've got to know of each other, more importantly, the trajectory that you're on, I think this will be one of those moments where, man, I was in the room with Craig and there was only 150 of us there. And look at him, like where he's going to go from this point, June 20th on forward. So, man, I'm super excited, grateful for you. If anybody wants to reach out, follow you, where's the best place to track you down?
Social media at Craig Siegel _CLS. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, the CLS experience, you could check out our website, cultivatelastingsymphony.com, find a little bit about the communities and so forth. And then if you're in the US, you could join our free texting community. We send out inspirational nuggets throughout the week. Just text 917-634-3796 and text the word Ben so that I know you heard it from this conversation. I'd love to connect.
Amen. Absolutely. Well, thank you, and excited to see you down here in Houston, June 20th. Thank you, Craig. God bless you, and excited for everything that's ahead.
Can't wait to see you, brother.
Thanks, man.